Welcome to Pre 50 class on economics. Our topic for today is economics as a science. Our discussions on this topic will be divided into two sections. In section 1, we'll be discussing the basic economic concepts. Concepts like want, choice, scale of preference, opportunity cost, rationality, production, distribution, and consumption. In section 2 of the topic, we'll be discussing the basic economic problems. The basic economic problems include problems of what, how, for whom to produce, and the efficiency of the resources used in production. It is expected that at the end of this lecture, each and every one of us will be able to compare various concepts in economics and their applications. We will equally be able to interpret graphs and schedules in relation to the basic concepts in economics. We will as well be able to identify the basic economic problems and proffer solutions to the problems. First of all, let's define economics. The most widely accepted definition of economics is the definition given by Professor Leo C. Robbins, who defined economics as a social science which studies human behavior as the relationship between ends and scarce means, which have alternative uses. The ends in the definition refers to the human wants, desires, or needs, while the scarce means refers to the limited available resources used in satisfying the numerous human wants. Economics, therefore, is regarded as a social science because it deals with human behavior and has a systemized body of knowledge consisting of laws governing a particular class of phenomena. As a science, the features of economics include observation of certain facts selection, and classification of relevant data. Therefore, economics uses scientific methods to explain observed phenomena and predict future events and occurrences. Having defined economics, let's now look at some fundamental concepts we will see throughout our discussions on economics. We'll start with the concept of wants. Wants may be defined as insatiable desire for consumption, that is, desiring to own so many goods and services that will give us satisfaction. Human wants are so many that are said to be unlimited or insatiable, but our needs are quite few. Note, there is a difference in economics between wants and needs. The difference is that wants may not be backed up by the ability to pay, while needs must be backed up by our willingness and ability to pay for them. The goods we might want in life might include cars, radios, food, iPods, iPhone, laptop, houses, and so on and so forth. These are called tangible commodities in economics, while services include, probably you want to make your hair, that's a service. The person that would make the hair for you is actually giving you a service. When you go to hospital, the doctors there and the medical personnel there will render medical service to you. When your car is bad, you take it to a mechanic. The mechanic is giving you a service. So such services might be classified as intangible commodities in economics. Another concept we will look at is the concept of scarcity. Scarcity may be defined as the limited satisfaction of our unlimited wants. In other words, scarcity is the inability of human beings to provide themselves with all the things they want or desire. For example, supposing Mr. Arnold wants to buy a brand new car worth 2 million naira. He only wants to buy a plot of land worth 1.6 million. And he wants as well to pay the school fees of his kids worth 200,000 naira. But he has only a physical cash of 500,000 naira, it can be seen that the only money he has is 500,000 naira, which is his entire resources. The resources will not be enough to buy all he wants and still pay his children's school fees, because human wants are insatiable relative to available resources. Therefore, Mr. Ano has to choose the most important ones and leave the ones that are less important, thereby confirming to the concept of scarcity. Another concept we will look at is the concept of choice. Choice can be defined as a system of selecting or choosing one of a number of alternatives. Since human wants are many and we cannot satisfy all of them because of our limited resources, we therefore must decide which of the ones we can satisfy first. Choice therefore arises as a result of scarcity of resources. One has to make a choice by selecting or taking up the most pressing need. The most pressing need. One has to select the most pressing need for satisfaction based on the available resources. Let us look at the concept of opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is defined as expression of costs in terms of foregone alternatives. It is another form of want. It refers to the wants that are left unsatisfied in order to satisfy another more pressing need. For example, suppose Mrs. Okeke, a housewife, wants to buy television and gas cooker, but she discovered that her available resources cannot buy the two items. She will then have to make a choice of the more pressing need to purchase, probably the television, which means she must have to forego buying the gas cooker in order to satisfy the need of buying the television. Therefore, the gas cooker, which she has sacrificed, is known as the opportunity cost, otherwise called foregone alternative. The foregone alternative can as well be called real cost, or the true cost of buying the television. Real opportunity cost is not the same thing with the money cost. The money cost is the total amount of money she spent in buying the television. For example, probably she bought the television for 30,000 naira. The 30,000 naira she spent buying the television is the money cost of the television, while the gas cooker she didn't buy because she wants to satisfy the need of buying the television is the true cost, or the real cost, or the foregone alternative, or the opportunity cost. Another fundamental concept is the concept of rationality. Rationality is the ability of the customer to be decisive in his choice making. In economics, rationality, or an individual being rational, plays a very vital role in the area of making choices. It enables the individual to choose certain wants among the numerous, to choose certain needs among the numerous wants using their scarce resources. It enables firms also to make rational or correct decisions about production processes. Another fundamental concept is the concept of production. Production simply means creation of utility. Utility means the amount of satisfaction derived from the consumption of a commodity at a particular time. Production, therefore, is the creation of wealth in the form of goods and provision of services which satisfy human wants. When goods which are meant to satisfy human wants are not sufficient enough, it will lead to one drawing up his scale of preference, and making choices on which goods are present so he can obtain it first and then maybe forgo others. Another basic concept we have in economics is distribution. The distribution is the branch of economics that deals with what determines the share of national income received by those who supply factors of production. You can remember very well that factors of production include labor, land, capital, and enterprise, and that the reward for labor is wage, the reward for land is rent, the reward or price of capital is interest, and the reward for enterprise is profit. These rewards depend on the forces of demand and supply. Distribution is also the process by which goods pass from producers to consumers. Another concept we'll look at is consumption. Consumption refers to the process of using up products and resources in order to satisfy human wants. It can also be seen as the pattern of consumption of goods and services in our environment, such as when we eat food, we will say in economics that food is being consumed. Wearing of shoes, riding a bicycle, listening to music, reading newspapers, getting your hair done, almost all forms of human activities are processes of consuming goods and services. The final concept we'll look at in this section is the scale of preference. A scale of preference refers to a list of unsatisfied wants of an individual, firm, or government, arranged in order of priority, starting from the most important to the least important. It helps the various economic units to make rational choices and maximize utility, since it will enable them to choose their most pressing wants first. The scale of preference could also be a mental list, not necessarily a list that is written down. For example, suppose Mr. Okoye has a scale of preference as shown below. Mr. Okoye needs to buy a pair of shoes that will cost him 3,500. He needs a shirt that will cost him 1,000 naira. He needs a cap that will cost him 500 naira. And he equally needs a fan that will cost him 5,000 naira. A kerosene stove that will cost him 3,500. A wedding ring that will cost him 6,000 naira. From the way the list is drawn, we can see that Mr. Okoye's most pressing, most important need is the shoe. The shoe is his most important need. While his least important need is the wedding ring. Least important is the wedding ring. Suppose that Mr. Okoye is a businessman that has only 10,000 naira with him and he wants to buy all these things. From the way the list is run, we can see that Mr. Okoye can only be able to buy the shoe, he can buy the shirt, the cap, and after buying the fan, his money will finish. The resources he has with him will finish, thereby making him not being able to satisfy the wants of the stove and the wedding ring. It's important that Mr. Okoye arranges his needs like this, because if not, he might have ended up buying the ones that are not so important, and he will not be able to satisfy his most pressing need if it wasn't determined which one is the most pressing and which one is the least pressing need. Therefore, it is important to note that choice could arise because human wants are so unlimited or numerous, while resources for satisfying them are very limited and scarce. From the knowledge we just gathered, let's look at these few examples. A scale of preference refers to A, consumers' preference for luxurious goods. B, the household monthly income. C, list of goods and services in order of priority. D, budget preparation without paying regard to priority. From what we discussed under the scale of preference, we can see that C is the correct option. Another example is necessity of choice is due to the fact that A. Human wants are insatiable. B. Consumers like to maximize satisfaction. C. Resources are abundant. D. Consumers are selective. Consumers are selective. From the knowledge we've gathered so far about choice, we can comfortably say that the correct option is option A, as human wants are insatiable. And that gets us to the end of this section. See you in section B, where we'll be discussing the economic problems.